Hey, 49 years old. Question. Who do you think was the best president we ever had?
Oh, I don't know. I would say Lincoln's probably a solid one. Yeah, that would be my answer. Lincoln.
What about the best president since you've been alive?
Well, statistically, it's a close race, all right, because we had Clinton balance the budget and eliminate the deficit. I believe he's the only president that ever did that. You had Obama steward, basically avoid a depression, which is no small feat, and then deliver a really robust economy at the end of his 8 years. And then what Biden's been able to accomplish, and I'm someone that never liked Biden, but his record is his record. But, that's just off the top of my head. I'd probably have to think about that a lot more to give you a better answer. But why do you ask?
Like, I voted for Obama twice, and then I went back and I looked at his statistics, and 70% of his votes, both years, were Caucasian. And that's pretty substantial. And do you think that Kamala is going to have 70% of the Caucasian vote this year?
Could be. It's not something I've ever thought of because I personally don't care where the votes come from, but it could be. Obviously you've got this very fervent group of supporters for Dump. I think he's lost some of them. My prediction is that he's going to get 2 million fewer votes than he did in 2020. So I don't know how that affects the overall, I don't know how MAGA, like hardcore MAGA voters, skew the statistic that you just gave. So I don't know if she's going to get 70%, but I know that it seems like in very important demographics, she's leading. So I'm not, wherever the votes come from, they're coming from.
It makes me nervous to think about that because he was like the most popular because of civil rights. Civil rights was the top for him. Everybody was
who
about
was?
civil rights.
Are you talking about Obama?
Yeah.
He was the most
Everybody was
popular
about
because of civil rights. What do you mean by that?
So if you go back and look at his campaign videos, there's a slew of them. I think Oprah started it all. I know when I voted for him, it was all about civil rights.
Okay.
And so now it seems like the Kamala campaign is doing the same thing. It's all about the first Black woman, all this stuff. The MAGA supporters have been called racist for the last 4 years because they support Trump. Do we really think that Kamala campaign is going to be able to change any of their minds when they've been called racist?
We don't need to. The thing is this. The answer to your question is no. I don't think anyone's going to change their mind. I don't think it would matter who the opponent was. The cult is not going to change their mind. But what I like to remember is that the cult didn't help them in 2020. So I don't think they're going to be able to help them now because I do believe that there's fewer of them than there were in 2020.
So that being said, there's a lot of polling coming out, and they're showing Kamala and Trump in a tight lead. In a tight race.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes down to it, if Trump does win, what are we going to blame? Are we going to blame cheating? Are we going to blame? What's going to be the issue here?
Well, I don't know. If you try to fake elector thing, that is cheating, right? So, he did attempt to cheat. He attempted to rob Americans of their vote. Okay, so that's if there's something that he did that warrants referring to it as cheating or illegal behavior or whatever, then we'll address that. But you mentioned polls, right? And yeah, the polls are tight right across the board, but Kamala improved dramatically from where Biden was, right? But beyond that, there are people who have never been polled that are mobilizing as we speak. Hispanics and Latinas up, I believe, 125%. No, 100. I believe it's 149% that they're up in registrations. Black young women are up 175% in new registrations. None of those people appear on any polls. And I think those numbers, and we also don't know how many MAGA wives are going to tell their husbands that they voted for Dump but actually voted for Harrison Walz. So I am not worried at all. I from what everything that I've seen, and this is just my own imagination, I feel very confident that she's going to run away with this.
Well, we have other issues, though. We have a lot of TikTokers that are celebrating a Kamala win. They're calling Trump names like you just did, but then they're being very offended if anyone mispronounces Kamala's name. A lot of pettiness going on where they're talking about Trump's personal life, but they're not allowed to talk about Kamala's personal life. I mean,
well, I'm not responsible for what goes on other lives, but
I mean, they're talking about lawsuits on Trump, casinos on Trump, all this other stuff, but then nobody's allowed to attack Kamala. Nobody, like it's off limits.
Again, I mean, why is that an issue?
Let's be real.
But if that's true, why is that an issue?
Well, it's because it's a tit for tat argument, and let's keep it real. Voters need to look at records. Like, how did Kamala do as vice president? How did Trump do as president? And people like a lot of MAGA supporters are taking the time to go on TikTok and listen. But are Kamala supporters going and listening to Trump supporters? Are they being fair, or are they just gaslighting them? On both sides, what's going on? Like, who's listening?
I don't know, and I don't know how to begin to answer that. But what? So let's say that all of what you're saying is true. How does that affect things?
Well, because I think people need to sit down and actually listen to the issues rather than making fun of people and calling people racist and making fun of Trump's name, but not allowing the same on the other part. I mean, come on, we're all grown up.
So I get what you're saying. What is the result? Let's say that everyone continues as they have been, doing the things that you say aren't good to do. And I feel you. I understand what you're saying, but how does that affect things?
Well, it's because it's tearing us apart.
Tearing us apart in what way?
It's making people argumentative, and you don't have a purpose to be on TikTok if you're not trying to come together. You're just trying to get views.
Okay. And what would be the result of that if that's true? And it might be, you might be right, but what is the ultimate result? How does that affect real world stuff if everything you're saying doesn't get changed?
You know what? It negatively affects, and you get views and you might get some money, but it doesn't do the right thing. It doesn't bring Americans together. It doesn't unite. And that, you know what? Let me ask you this. What's the meaning of life?
Before I get to that very important question, I just want to backtrack for a moment, because you brought up something very interesting to me. You said that Americans wouldn't unite. When has America ever been united?
Prior to Barack Obama?
No, not even close. What is the evidence that America was united before Barack Obama?
After 9/11?
Right after 9/11, Middle Easterners were being attacked, so that's not true either.
I'm talking about in the United States.
No, Middle Easterners were being attacked in the United States.
Okay, I'm talking about the support that one another had for each other when thousands of lives were lost.
So do Middle Easterners not count as one another?
I'm not talking about what you're saying. I'm talking about
but you said that after 9/11 we were united, and I'm giving you an example of how we were not united, and you're not addressing that.
There's always going to be bullying in this country, but I'm talking about how Americans united to support one another in New York City, at the Pentagon, and everywhere else. Even where the price gouging was going on, there were citizens who united together to support one another. But after Barack Obama's presidency, this racism crap came up, and it has not died down.
So you think Barack Obama is responsible for racism in America?
You know what I think? I think Oprah Winfrey, Barack Obama started it all, and it has not
So
died
racism
down.
didn't exist before them.
Racism has always existed, but you know what? The heart of man, each individual person's responsible for their own actions. And the left has made it to where every single white person is racist, and that is wrong. It is wrong to push
I've
that
never heard
agenda.
anybody say that, but okay.
Yeah, jump on TikTok and listen to other people.
I have. I'm on TikTok every day, and I have. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm telling you, I have never heard anybody say that. I have not
Why don't we
once
hold
heard anyone say all white people are racists.
You know what I think? I think we need to hold individuals accountable for their individual actions rather than clump one large group of people together.
I agree. So
Because
again,
there's a lot
so
of
how did Barack Obama and Oprah Winfrey create racism in America that wasn't there before them?
Watch them. Go back and watch them.
I did.
Go back and
I
listen
did.
to
So that's
them.
not an answer really, and I want to hear an answer from you. I'm encouraging you to give me an answer, but you're not giving me an answer. Telling me to go watch what I've already seen is not an answer. I did not see Barack Obama or Oprah Winfrey engage in anything that resembled racism. That's my perspective.
You're not
So if you can
watching.
give me an example of what they did, then maybe I'll understand you better.
Well, beginning with the very first interview of probably 200 interviews on the Oprah Winfrey Show with Barack Obama and his wife, they spoke about the very first black president this, the very first black president that, how they need to stand up against all the racism in the United States. They got everybody in the crowd cheering, everybody praising them for every little thing, and how oppression's always been in the United States. It stirred up all this strife. And it just started
So
from day
so
one.
let me ask you a question. Was anything that he said wrong or not true?
You know what? There's nothing wrong with bringing out racism. It's the fact that he ran his campaign on that rather than running on policy, running on the balancing of the budget, running on protecting
So
our
you believe
border.
that his whole campaign was about racism?
It was.
Okay.
It
All right.
absolutely was.
That's interesting. I don't see how that's possible at all. And I remember his speeches. I don't agree with you at all. I think if you look up his speeches even now, what you're saying is provably untrue.
Somebody just said on your thread, he ran his campaign on hope. Yeah, he ran his campaign on hope. Hope that the white people would stop racism. He clumped everybody in one group. I went to the African American Museum in DC 2 different times. They've got an entire floor based on Barack Obama, hope, and anti-racism. He is the most divisive president in history.
Interesting.
Everybody,
Very,
even the African Americans
very
know
interesting.
that.
Yeah, really? That's interesting. I think that's a patently absurd thing to say,
Can we go back to policy?
especially when there were presidents that helped support slavery. Like that's just a ridiculous thing
Why
to
are
say.
you going back? You said Abraham Lincoln's your favorite president. He was a Republican. He pushed the 13th Amendment. Are you serious? Can we
And
not move
the
forward?
13th Amendment in the first paragraph says that slavery is illegal unless you're a prisoner. So what's your point?
Okay, slavery still exists in Africa.
And by the way,
Why are
he
we
didn't have
not
anything to
trying
do
to
with the
do
13th
that?
Amendment. He had already been unalive by that point. But go ahead. What's your point?
Why are we not trying to help Africans?
Who
Why are
is
we not
we?
trying to
What are you
help?
talking about?
So listen, if you are that passionate about slavery that existed a long time ago, why aren't we trying to help those that are still enslaved? We're sending money to Ukraine. Why can't we help those over in Africa? These people are suffering. Why? I never hear that. I get on TikTok and everybody's talking about over here. Look, we got Beyonce, billionaire. We got Jay-Z, billionaire. We got Obama. We got all these African Americans that are billionaires. Are they supporting African Americans? No,
First
absolutely
of all,
not.
again, patently incorrect, and I am not responsible for what billionaires do with their money.
But you give
Almost.
them a pass.
No, I didn't. I didn't say that. I said I'm not responsible. And the idea that the people that you mentioned are doing nothing for African Americans is provably false.
Okay, we got 142 hotels in New York City. Just read it this
Oh,
morning with illegal immigrants stacked up in there.
they are not
You
illegal.
see,
They are not illegal. You're wrong about that.
undocumented,
You're
whatever.
not.
But
You're listen. If you're going to come up here and spew nonsense,
they were just on the news this
this is
morning
not
on your
this is going to go
network,
nowhere fast.
MSNBC.
Okay, you look. I indulged a lot of the silly things that you've said so far,
You don't want to hear facts.
but I don't want to. I've been letting you talk for quite a long time. Okay, and now you're coming up and saying that illegal immigrants are in New York City because they've been put in hotels. That's just that is false. That's a lie. That's
It is false.
misinformation.
It was just on there this morning. They were talking about how all the hotels are all filled up.
Is
You
that
didn't
is
see
that is
it?
that the point of what I just said? Do you
You
not
don't
understand what
want
I
to
just said?
accept
You called
facts.
them illegal. Are they illegal?
They are here when they're not supposed to be. They broke federal law to get here.
No, they did not. There is no law that says you cannot seek asylum. So you're trying to convince yourself
Did they
that
come
people
through the
broke the
proper
law,
channels?
and as a reward for breaking the law, instead of being jailed, they were put up in hotels. Is that what you're actually saying?
They should have been turned back.
Is that what you're actually saying?
Immigration makes
Is
America
that what
beautiful
you're
and
actually
better.
saying?
Immigration.
Is that
They,
what you're actually saying?
they broke the law.
Oh, really? Which law?
Immigration law.
Which law?
All of it.
Really, all of it. So once again, you're one of these people that cannot accept facts and
Listen,
reality.
you have
So
doctors
so
in other
listen,
countries
I gotta
still
go
waiting to
because you're
get here.
absolutely ridiculous.
You don't want to talk reason.
Okay, so I'm hungry, but let me just say this: immigration has been used to scare a lot of you because that's what the Republican government likes to do. They love to scare you. The sky is always falling. Everything is always going to ruin America, according to Republicans, right? They're going to, let's see, Ronald Reagan did a vinyl record in a national campaign that said that like Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security were all evil. All right. You guys were against paved roads, the highway system. You were against the highway system when Eisenhower came back. I think it was either Eisenhower or MacArthur came back and suggested the same kind of highways that they have in Germany, and people were against that. Republicans have voted against just about everything that would have pushed America into being way closer to greatness than it is right now. But anyway, I'm gonna go eat. All this fear mongering is silly and pathetic. The brown people are not coming to get you. No one's taking your pew pews. No one is going to impregnate your teenage girls. You guys are all insane. So anyway, with that, I'm going to go. Peace, love, and granola. Until we meet again.